Hey, Wed Pro listeners, welcome back to another episode of the Wed Pro Podcast, your go-to show for all things wedding business. Now, I know you are used to getting a brand new episode from us each and every week, but we've been a little busy behind the scenes working on something mega exciting for you. So for this week, we're bringing you something a bit different, but just as valuable. We've put together a compilation of some of our favourite episodes you, our amazing listeners, have absolutely loved. Whether you are a new listener or a long-time listener, these episodes are packed with tips, tricks and insights that you can implement right away and help take your business to the next level. All right, without further ado, let's jump into this special compilation of our listeners' favourite episodes. I know you are going to love it. Welcome to the Wed Pro Podcast, the podcast for Wed Pros no matter their stage. We are your hosts, Katie and Roxy, and this is the Wed Pro Podcast.
Today we're going to be sharing some misconceptions and things we hear about the luxury wedding market and how luxury wedding clients may buy your services and how they may interact and find the businesses that they want to work with for their weddings. And this is an area that people want to get into. We have quite a lot of clients that are wanting to either break into the luxe market or even the very luxe markets, like very high net worth individuals. And yes, we have to market our business in a different way, but there's loads of myths and things out there that we wanted to just come on and debunk and share our experience with working with wedding professionals who work in the luxe market and let you know what we see going on. And I think for the purpose of this part of justifying what we would justify as luxury wedding budget, and just for the purpose of podcast, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about today in terms of the behaviour of the brides and grooms and the myths that we definitely want to debunk. So really we're looking at anything that is more than 100 grand or more in pounds, up to £500,000, not including any honeymoon budget. And the ultra luxe end of the market would be anything over £500,000 or more. So anything over £500,000, again, not including that honeymoon.
And I think once we break down these walls, we actually will realise they are no different than you and me, other than, yes, they've got a massive whack of money to spend on stuff.
Okay, so one of the first things that we hear is that people want to be in the luxury end of the market because they feel that these clients aren't going to price shop and they're not going to negotiate. But contrary to that belief, luxury and ultra luxe wedding clients aren't afraid to negotiate. In fact, actually, more than half of luxury wedding clients expect their suppliers to negotiate or expected themselves to negotiate. So what do we mean by that? It's like if they hired a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator, they expected their wedding coordinator or their wedding planner to negotiate on their behalf. And I know what you're thinking in the wedding industry, like, oh my God, it's such a sign of disrespect. You know, the price is the price. And potentially you want to get into this area of the market to stop those price shoppers in inverted commas or people haggling with your pricing. In this area of the market, negotiation isn't a sign of disrespect. It's usually viewed as intelligence, and especially in other cultures, it's just what you do. It's almost like a sign of respect. And refusing to negotiate can make you look like you've got a lack of business experience or a lack of business acumen, and maybe you're inexperienced in this field of the market. So what I want you to look at is a negotiation. I want you to reframe this in your mind. Look at it as like an invitation to work together. It's not a rejection. It's an opportunity to work together to find something that's going to be mutually beneficial for the both of you. How can we collaborate on your wedding? And that can help you to just reframe that in your mind and also remove that intimidation from you. And I just want you to remember that it is a skill and it can be improved with practice. And as with any skill, once you practice it, you will get better.
And remember, I was just going to say, when you said negotiation is more of a way to collaborate, think of it like that. Got to remember, it's not a no, right? So they aren't saying no, they're just saying, can we work together to make this more doable? Okay, so myth number 2 is we hear this all the time, and this is another mindset belief, is that luxury clients in these looks, like super luxe couples, are always hiring a professional wedding planning company. And this is true for a majority of these higher end couples. They do hire planners, but not all of them follow this trend at all. So it can really vary. Some may opt to work with catering managers at the venue, friends with relevant expertise, or estate managers or executive assistants. And it's really essential to recognise that referrals may come from loads of different sources and not just those planners.
So have a think about where you're getting your referrals from. Have a think about having marketing strategies that extend beyond just reaching out to planners, and having a think about connecting with the venues too, networking with luxury client referrals outside the wedding industry as well. Luxury clients also use Google to find their wedding suppliers, and despite age-old advice suggesting otherwise, still a significant number of luxury weddings find their suppliers through Google searches. So it is essential, whatever level of the market you're at, to be optimizing your online presence and SEO strategies to attract those high fit leads from your search engine results.
This is the Wed Pro Podcast. Welcome back to the Wed Pro Podcast. I'm Roxy, and I'm here with the beautiful and brilliant Katie. And today we are diving into a topic that can really make or break your online presence, and that is your contact page.
Ah, what a lovely introduction. Yeah, it's one of the last places that kind of couples see before they decide whether or not to reach out to you. And let's face it, right? Our dream clients, those couples, have probably got a million tabs open looking at a few different wedding suppliers. If your contact page is not optimized, they can easily just move on and you've lost a lead. So today we're going to be giving you 5 essential tips to make sure your contact page is seamless, inviting, and it's most importantly providing that high converting experience.
I like what you said there about having a million tabs open, because I know someone like that, actually.
Feeling called out.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is having forms on your website versus just having an email link. And this is something really simple yet so often overlooked, and that's just using a form and not just linking in to email you. And why is that such a game changer?
Well, imagine you're a couple, right? And you're clicking through websites, usually on your phone. You find a photographer or a venue you love, and you click contact us. And instead of a form, you're redirected to your email app. And if you're anything like me, you probably don't even have an email app set up on your phone. I know I don't have it set up for me to be able to just click that link and email. And I definitely don't have it set up on my laptop, because I've got 3, maybe 4 email addresses for business as well. So, I would be one of those people that would definitely be logged into a different account. You might think I'll come back and do this later, but then life happens and you absolutely forget.
I've actually had this happen to me personally. Like, I have pressed that button and it's opened this I don't know what to do now. So then you close it and then that's it. You've probably lost them. Like, they have gone. And on top of that as well, using a form helps you track where your leads are coming from, which is essential for any Wed Pro running ads or using analytics, which you should be using. With a form, you can directly attribute the lead to a specific source, like whether they've come from an Instagram ad or Facebook. If they're opening up on a separate email app, you'll lose that tracking ability.
Yeah, and let's talk about the automation opportunities as well. With a form, you can automatically trigger a follow-up sequence, maybe a thank you email. You can pop them into your email CRM or segment leads based on how that form has responded and how that person has responded in that form. It's really efficient and a really easy way for you to be able to engage leads right from the start. And you can put in processes when you are just using Gmail or maybe another email provider that isn't set up like an email marketing provider or a CRM. they'll send the email and then they will have to wait for you for a direct response, or they're getting your out of office or your auto reply. And quite often that auto reply, I know, we get a lot of them from wedding businesses. When we send out emails, we get a lot of auto replies. I would say 99.9% of them are not set up for conversion, and we'll have to do that on another episode. But
that's a whole nother topic.
Get that autoresponder off, tweak it so that it's geared up for conversion. And if you're somebody that is just sharing your email address, which yes, potentially does have a link that would open an app or Gmail or wherever it is, just consider that actually that's not trackable for you as a business. So you don't know where those leads are coming from, what their journey's been prior to them sending that email to you. And secondly, as well, it may not even open in the way that you intend, and then you're going to lose that lead.
So now let's talk about the design. So you might think a form is just a few boxes and a button, but there's a lot of psychology and strategy involved when designing your forms. What's the first thing that comes to mind for you, Katie, when designing forms for websites?
Absolutely. Keeping it simple and clean is key. You want to have clear, visible labels for every field. So that is the labels above the box. So none of the placeholder text that disappears when you start typing. It only leads to confusion. Make each field in your form, so each little box inside your form, really obvious as to what your prospect needs to give you, what information they should be sharing with you, and easy to navigate, especially on mobile. Most of your clients are probably going to be using their phones, so you need to design that in mind and have on your contact page, have either the form or a link that goes straight to the form, which would be like an anchor point that when people click that, it takes them to the form above the fold. So above the fold means before I have to scroll. So you want either that call to action for them to fill in the form or the form to be visible prior to the fold on your phone as well.
And good point there about what you said about most people will be doing this on their mobile. So they're going to be using their hands and their fingers to press things. So don't forget about the tappable areas. Your potential clients are going to be using their thumbs to tap through. So make sure the buttons and fields are big enough to easily click without zooming in and having to do any of that faffing about. And if you have options like, how did you hear about us questions, try using checkboxes and things like that instead of drop downs. Yeah, I get really frustrated when I've got to try and, zoom in to press things, and it winds me up.
Yeah, and the drop down is usually quite tiny. It's quite a tiny little button to kind of have to click. So having those checkboxes is just much, much easier. So another really small but powerful design trick is just to align everything vertically. It's going to be easier on the eye for your clients and makes that form feel less overwhelming. If you have things on the left-hand side of the screen and the right-hand side of the screen, just think about that user experience. The fewer the barriers, the higher your chance of getting them to click that submit button.
This is the Wed Pro Podcast. Hey, welcome back to this episode of the Wed Pro Podcast. I'm Katie. As always, I'm here with Roxy. Got such a good episode today. I'm buzzing to talk about this. Hello, how's everybody doing? Yes, we are here and we are bringing the goods today, aren't we? Absolutely. We're talking about something that affects every single one of us, and that is your money mindset. If you've ever felt like there's not enough to go around, whether it's money, clients, or opportunities, this episode is for you, and it absolutely affects everything and your business. I love a good mindset chat. A mindset reset. Yes. And we're going to unpack the difference between a scarcity mindset and an abundant mindset, and how shifting that perspective can change everything. And we're going to give you some really practical steps to help you to attract more money and more opportunities in 2025, because who doesn't love a boatload of that? And I think one of the biggest things here is this affects every area of your business, and you're putting your head, you're being an ostrich, that's what you would say, isn't it? You're putting your head in the sand if you think it isn't. And actually, when you sit and unpick this and you make a promise to work on this part of yourself, you will see more things click into place, whether that's more money, more clients, more opportunities. You will see these things click better into place when you go and work on this stuff.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. And of course, we'll be sharing details about our 2025 strategy day happening on January the 8th. Trust us, you don't want to miss it. But more on that a little later.
Let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with what a scarcity mindset actually is. And what this is it's the belief that there's never enough. So there's not enough money, not enough clients, not enough opportunity, not enough time. It's the kind of thinking that keeps you stuck or always feeling like you're behind in some sort of way.
Exactly. A scarcity mindset shows up in so many ways. Maybe you're afraid to share your knowledge because you think someone else might take your ideas, or you hesitate to collaborate because you're worried it will take away from your own success.
And I think, let's be real, it's a super common mindset, especially in the wedding industry and also in business in general. And social media can make it worse. Like, you see other suppliers booking out their calendars, and it's easy to think there's just no space for me. But that kind of thinking will only hold you back.
Yeah, and I think, when you are operating from that scarcity, you play small, you keep yourself small, you avoid risks, you hold on too tight. And this means you're going to miss opportunities. So the good news is, you can change it and anything is possible.
Okay, so let's chat about the flip side. An abundance mindset is all about believing that there's more than enough to go around, enough clients, enough money, enough success. It's the belief, really, that opportunities are limitless.
And when you embrace that mindset, everything starts to change. You're more willing to take risks, to collaborate, to share your knowledge, because you're not afraid of losing out. Instead of seeing others' success as a threat, you see them and what they're doing as an inspiration.
And this isn't about pretending everything's perfect. Challenges absolutely still exist. But with an abundance mindset, you can help them to see them as opportunities to grow and not roadblocks. And that is a game changer for your business.
And it's not just about the money either. Abundance is about time, creativity, joy, and opportunities. When you believe in abundance, you start to attract more of it. And that is really true. You have a very abundant mindset, don't you? I love that in you because it flows into me as well.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from, actually. I don't know if I've always been a little bit that way in tune without knowing. I think I'm just generally quite a positive person, and I think that kind of fits into it. Let me pull up some of the things that kind of can go between an abundant personality and not. Okay, so some signs of an abundance mindset are that you're a natural cheerleader. When people succeed, you're genuinely thrilled for them. You aren't an envious person. You are a giver, not a hoarder. You share your knowledge, your time, and your resources freely. You understand that generosity breeds abundance. You see possibilities, not limitations. And when faced with a challenge, you're more likely to ask, how can I make this work? Rather than, why is this happening? You're not afraid to take risks. You understand the failure is just feedback and part of the process. And there are always more opportunities around the corner. You're a lifelong learner. You're always looking for ways to grow and expand your skills. You focus on collaboration, not competition. You believe that working together creates more opportunities for everybody. You're optimistic about the future. You see the world is full of potential and you're excited to see. And if these sound like you, congratulations. You're well on your way to living a life full of abundance. If you're not quite relating to any of those statements, don't worry, an abundance mindset isn't something you're born with. It can be developed. And if you don't have an abundant mindset yet, you likely operate in a scarcity mindset. And signs of a scarcity mindset that possibly may be holding you back could be you're always comparing yourself to others. You're constantly sizing yourself up against others, feeling a pang of envy when they have some success. Sharing feels threatening, whether it's knowledge, resources, or even a simple compliment. There's never enough to go around. You see roadblocks, not possibilities. Challenges feel insurmountable. Every setback is a confirmation that the world is working against you. Taking risks feels terrifying because failing means losing something precious. You focus on what's missing. You believe your potential is limited. Growth feels like an uphill battle. You're a lone wolf. Collaboration feels like a threat and you'd rather go alone than risk somebody taking the spotlight. You're a worrier. The future looms large, filled with potential pitfalls and missed chances. It's hard to relax when you're constantly on edge. Comparison. you constantly compare yourself to others, feeling envious or inadequate. Yeah, so I don't know which one do you kind of think you're in? Which one do you?
I'm definitely in abundance nowadays, but previous, and I think this stems back from childhood and growing up with my mum's like money story of there's never enough money and money doesn't grow on trees and all that like negativity around money that made it so I was in like a scarcity mindset. But definitely running your own business, you can't work from that place because it's not a very nice place to be in sometimes. You have to be able to look to the future with abundance. Like, even if things aren't going so well, there's always things that you can do to get yourself out of it. So definitely abundance now, but I used to be more scarcity, 100%.
I think everybody has kind of bits of both. There's definitely been, or sometimes it's called a lack, like operating from a place of lack, isn't it? And there has been times where, you know, I've made some catastrophic money mistakes because I've kind of been very flippant with money, not wanting to look at it, not wanting to look at my bank balance, etc. But now I know with kind of an unwavering confidence that things will work out. And it's not just about putting that kind of positive, everything will work out airy-fairy head on, but actually you're more in tune. And I'm reading a lot of books around the actual psychology behind this. So it's not just about woo-woo stuff, about you thinking, okay, I'm going to put this positive head on and it's called like toxic positivity, isn't it? Where you're just going to smile and pretend everything's fine and, you know, challenges don't happen to me. But actually, when you operate from a little bit more of a positive place and you rewire your synapses in your brain, I'm reading a really good book on this, all about kind of the psychology and what happens in your brain when you operate from an abundant shift. You know, learning is lifelong. You know, your brain is always changing and evolving and learning and moving. And actually, you're more open to problem solving when you operate from a place of abundance, feeling like challenges can be solved rather than feeling that you are totally out of control.
This is the Wed Pro Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wed Pro Podcast. I am your host, Roxy, and this is the place where wedding professionals come for inspiration, tips, real talk about the industry that we all love. From managing clients to building a successful business, we are here to make your journey smooth and more rewarding. Today, I'm thrilled to have an amazing guest on the show, Anshika, the founder and CEO of Eternity, which is a CRM system designed exclusively for wedding pros, helping them tackle the chaos of admin work, which no one likes, and to build a better connection with their clients. We're going to dive into her journey of building Eternity and the lessons that she has learned along the way and why having a great system can be a total game changer for your business. So welcome to the Wed Pro Podcast. It is great to have you here. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for having me, Roxy. It's so great because I think we first met a number of months ago.
We did.
WedCon, and then since then we've remained close, and it's amazing to be here on the podcast. Thank you so much.
And this is why we love networking so much. This is where our business started, but networking is so powerful. We've created such a great connection with each other, helping each other out in business. I literally love it. And
Absolutely. And not that we're here to talk about it, but just a little shameless plug for LinkedIn. I think it's such an overlooked platform, but I remember first reaching out to Katie on LinkedIn when I heard about WedCon. So that's a little tip for any wedding pros listening. Don't overlook LinkedIn as a powerful channel, because you'd be surprised what you see on there.
Definitely, you need a solid kind of networking strategy, and LinkedIn is absolutely amazing for that. So let's talk a little bit about Eternity, and I want to know it all. Like, where was this born? Tell me.
Do you know what? I think every business starts from some sort of a personal connection and personal experience that you've had. So for me, it ended up being my sister's wedding. So my sister got married in 2020, had a COVID wedding, which meant that things got rearranged 3 or 4 different times. And it was at that point that I really realized that the way that wedding suppliers currently manage their admin is still very much pen to paper, a little bit old-fashioned. Everything happens over WhatsApp. And I could just see my sister, a COVID 2020 bride, just really struggling with the way that suppliers were communicating to her, as well as just managing her own admin. And I think with weddings comes so many different layers. There's that layer of the emotional side, the organizational side, the financial side, and just seeing that and realizing that the wedding industry is absolutely massive. I think we have about 270,000 weddings that take place in the UK every single year, and tons of suppliers, thousands and thousands, and there is just no form of real digitization for that organizational element. So Eternity was actually initially born to fill the gap of South Asian weddings online. So we started off as a South Asian wedding directory, ran successfully, built that community. Of course, Katie, Roxy, you guys know the importance of an incredible community. So we did that. And then the next stage was the CRM side, when we started to understand the problems that both suppliers and couples were having thereafter. So Eternity relaunched as a CRM last year after doing a lot of different data, different types of pivots, different types of focus groups. And I think with every business, it's so important to be consumer driven, which is really at the core of what we do with the event management CRM that we're now building. So we operate as a CRM both for suppliers as well as for couples. Because for us, and for anyone who's watching visually, the way that I see it is that your suppliers sit here, your couples sit here, so on the left and the right, and then the wedding sits in the middle. And you really want everyone to be a part of that, to have all of your stakeholders really seamlessly and easily be able to find things like documentation, wedding notes, wedding itineraries, and that's really what we're born to do.
Yeah. When you were talking then and you spoke about pen to paper, that is so true. We're all very pen to paper, but it is really important to have that paper trail digitalized. And the way that you guys are doing things it's super simple, right?
Absolutely. And you're so right. An audit trail is so important. I know it sounds really boring. Sometimes I find when I talk about the CRM, I go on this admin heavy tangent. Yeah, these things are really boring at times, but they're so important. And so what we want to do is make those boring admin tasks as easy for you to do and for you to manage. So not only will it save you time, it will also increase, hopefully, your conversions, because it's a value add for your customers to see that you have a professional outlay. If they see someone pen to paper in one meeting and then the next meeting is with someone who's using this professional system, which is really easy to manage and understand for them, it's kind of that intangible value where you know that you're doing your clients justice and you have that competitive edge over the others who are also in the industry. So it helps with that. But the biggest thing for us is also just post-event retention and just making sure that you get those repeat bookings, because everyone who's in the wedding industry will understand that we have a new client base every single year, because whoever's got married is hopefully not going to get married again and not going to be your customer again. And so for us, what that means is that we need to constantly be finding ways to either tap into the existing network as wedding businesses, or making it really easy to constantly gather a new network. And I find that loads of wedding businesses I speak to, in the first few years, you have that kind of drive and you're happy to be at those exhibitions every single year. But there's a reason why those businesses who have been around for decades and decades don't need to go to exhibitions. And that's because they've really built that web of networks, which works really strongly for them. So that's really what we're trying to achieve with the CRM as well.
And I think you do it absolutely beautifully. And I think that does come from, you've spent a lot of time pulling this together, make sure it's giving Wed Pros and couples what they need. And you were saying about you've done a lot of research, you've done a lot of consumer groups. What did you find out? Did you think, okay, this is nothing that I didn't already know? Or was there lots that came up that you thought, oh, okay, like I didn't realize that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think there was an element of things that we already knew. So one thing that we can see through the data is that the wedding industry is made up of a lot of solopreneurs and a lot of SMEs, which does naturally translate to we are all time poor. So we need something that's easy and efficient to use. And then we also knew on the flip side that the consumers, so our clients, were going through a bit of a generational shift where they're no longer millennials. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Sprybook who released the stat to say that now about 43% of engaged couples are Gen Zers.
Yes,
as opposed to
and that makes me feel so old.
No, absolutely not. But it's changing, right? The way that Gen Z like, and we always say that we're a platform. I'm Gen Z, so I always say we're a platform built by Gen Z for Gen Z. So ultimately, we want to be at the forefront of bridging that gap and making it as easy so that it doesn't seem like you have to learn a whole new platform or a whole new social media. And it's not algorithm based, because that is my biggest pet peeve. It's literally just something which enables you to tap into that consumer base in a different way, which speaks their language, and also in one that you understand. So I think that was definitely stuff that we already knew. I think some of the things that came out, we didn't realize how much time people spend on admin per week. I do think it's about 1 full business day a week.
Oh gosh, definitely, if not more. Yeah,
if not more. And I think that was quite a shock to the system. Something that we also knew, but it was just refreshing to kind of hear again, is that everyone is so passionately creative about what they do, that the admin side, unfortunately, was one of the things that was stopping them from wanting to grow their business. So, for example, if you hit capacity, so you can only do X amount of weddings per year, a lot of the time you hit that capacity because of the admin side of things, because you realize actually it takes me much longer and my ROI just isn't correct. And I know that you both do a lot of work in this space to ensure that you are actually charging the right kind of prices and it's more value driven and high quality of bookings. But ultimately, also to be able to charge higher quality, you need to have the professional foundation built internally in your business, because that's what's going to translate across. So yeah, those were a couple of different learnings that we got from those focus groups, which were really interesting to see.
Yeah, it is so important to have those foundations of your business set up for when the time comes that it is time to scale, that you've got the tools behind you to be able to do that, so you're not feeling like it's chaotic and that you're overworked and you're overwhelmed by admin. I see this all the time. You hit the nail on the head where you said we are all creatives in this industry and we love that aspect, but what comes secondary to that is the tech side, the admin side, like the business knowledge. And there are totally things out there, just like your service, that can bridge the gap, and like us who kind of support that business element. You literally don't have to do this alone. There's things out there, guys, that can really help you scale your business, so you don't have to stay small, play safe all of the time. Like, you can be as successful as you want to be.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wed Pro Podcast. Full transcripts of this episode, plus every other episode we have done, are available at www.theweddingbusinesshub.com/blogs. Thanks so much for listening. If you do have any questions about this episode or anything else at all, you can email us at info@theweddingbusinesshub.com. And if you are loving our episodes, which I know you are, make sure you hit the subscribe or follow button so you can stay updated with any new episodes that land. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.